Sawadika, everybody. Welcome to Thailand. We are in the land of, what can you say, Sunila? Tourism. It is probably history, culture, a very important part of Southeast Asia. I think an apt question to start with is how many times have you been to Thailand? And especially how many times have you been to the city, which is officially known as Krung Thep Mahanakhon, that is Bangkok.
Hi Neil and hi everyone. I think a good question is how soon can we get back there? Because we've just been waiting. I think, even if you go there hundreds of times, it's never enough. I can't count the number of times I've been to Bangkok. Initially, in fact, I went for the city, like to go to Bangkok. And then after that, it was just any excuse that you could find. In fact, there was a joke at one point. I remember my daughter Neil and Sarah, and she said, can we just please go for the weekend, have some garlic prawns and come back? So that's how close you feel to Bangkok, right? You feel like it's easy, just get on the flight and you're there, and it is really easy to get there. So we can't wait to get back there,
Would
and
you would
things
you
are
say it
opening,
it
we
it
can go
was
back.
it was would you say it was the first international destinations to turn into a weekend destination for Indians? Of course, now people go to Europe for the weekend, but
I think so. Yes, that's a really good point. And in fact, it was now that you say it, it was my first international destination as well. So that's a very traditional way of traveling, right? You start with something that's short haul, close by, and then you move on. And I think that's a great way, a great introduction to traveling international as well, because it's close, it's easy on the pocket. You don't have to worry every time about spending how much money am I spending, and you get such good value for money that it's a great holiday. And yeah, I think. Over the years it's turned into a weekend destination. Probably yes, one of the first ones to do that. But Neil, along with that, today you have so much options in Thailand. Today, of course, we're going to be speaking of Bangkok, but to combine it with different places in Thailand, with Phuket, Koh Samui, Krabi, Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, there are so many options that you can really have a great holiday, and every time visit Bangkok, have your fun in Bangkok, and then go ahead and do the rest of the sightseeing in different places in Thailand.
so like Bangkok has so many interesting stories, facts, and all of that. So I think I'd like to start with one that every tourist guide also welcomes you with, and that is the world's longest place name, that
Yes.
168 letters. So Sunila, I think I'm going to try and pronounce this name,
Mhm.
which is, well, they call it the Krung Thep Mahanakhon, but this is the short form. The
Yeah.
long form, guys, is Krung Thep Mahanakhon Amon Ratanakosin Mahintharayu Thaya Mahadilok Pop Noparataracha Thani Burayom Udom Rachani Vet Mahasathan, Omon Fivana Vatan Sathit, Saka Thatiya Vitsanu Kamprasit. And that translates into City of Angels, Great City of Immortals, Magnificent City of the Nine Gems, Seat of the King, City of Royal Palaces, Home of Gods Incarnate, erected by Vishwakaram at Indra's behest. So that, and I've tried doing that whenever we used to do tours as tour managers. I would start my tour with this, but pronouncing such a large name was always difficult. So like ceremonially it is called this, officially it is called Krungthep Mahanakhon. We refer to it as Bangkok. People don't know the origin of how this came about, but bang in as a Thai word means a village on a stream, and that's how probably Bangkok came about. But that was something
Neil,
that
I
people.
think you deserve a pat on your back for saying out that name. And something interesting, I also heard that, and I read that Bangkok is also known as the city of the big mango. Like how you have New York is called the Big Apple, the Bangkok is supposedly the big mango. And I don't know if that's really authentic, but a lot of these guidebook videos and all of that refer to it like that. I think it's a great way to remember that you do get amazing mangoes out there. So,
Yeah, the
we
mango
call
and
it.
sticky rice is incredible,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And of course, it's mango season here right now.
Mm.
But I think in Thailand, which is also known as the hottest tourist destination on the planet by many, you get it all around the
All
year, and
around,
it
all
is just
around.
something different. It's mango and sticky rice, and there's like some cream over it.
It's like a coconut cream that you can add on top, and it's so good.
So while you were mentioning a number of these things, you mentioned that it has a lot of markets. Shopping is a big thing. So like, let's spend some time on shopping. Like what are some of the places that you can go to shop? Because in all of the times that I have been, Bangkok's like this city where there are like hundreds of skyscrapers and at the same time super small shops, hundreds of malls, high-end malls, basic malls, and then the different types of markets. So I'll let you take a lead on that.
Neil, it's rare that we start our podcast with shopping, and I think Bangkok is one of the best places to do that, right? Simply because there's just so much variety, so many different things that you can do, and it suits everyone. So, if it's like, you want to go and you want to have the best things to buy, there are some really high end and beautiful shopping malls on offer, like everywhere. So, Robinson's, if you remember, was one of our favorites, which was a good, decently priced goods, and you're assured of everything that is really good. Icon Siam is, they call it the mother of all malls because it is like really huge, right on the banks of Chao Phraya River, and it's pretty kind of new. So that has a lot to offer. Terminal 21 actually has become very popular with people who go to Bangkok for shopping because it has a lot of trendy things as well. It has things from all around the world. You have amazing stuff that you can get there. Along with that, Central used to be one of the other shopping malls that we always went to. Of course, we have to go back and see how things are in the last 2 years. And Siam Paragon, I think that was one of Asia's biggest malls. And I remember going to Siam Paragon just to go to the food market there, the food court there as well, because that had one of the best food courts, and it was always like once for shopping and once for eating. So that is something that you end up doing there in Bangkok. So these are kind of the shopping malls that we could go to. I think an interesting alternative, and for people who really want to spend time out walking and feeling the city, is a market, like a street market kind of a thing. And Chatuchak market is definitely one of the best places. People do say that you may not find things, but I think if you really look and you see, what you're looking for, you can find some amazing paintings, some amazing handicrafts, and a lot of it is handmade. So it's one of the best markets to pick up small gifts for people, souvenirs for you to come back to. And also there are little cafes and other things, so you can always relax, sit there, have a great time, and come back as well. Also, there are some night markets like Ceylon Night Market, and some really nice. I mean, these are quite upmarket in a sense, So you have beer gardens, and you can just sit down and have a nice meal out there. And these are open till late, late, late in the night, so you can not complain that I didn't get time to shop in the day. Again, there are some really interesting things. Like I found skirts and shirts and things which were embroidered. All of this is handmade. So yeah, there is just so much to do, not to take away the floating markets. So if you want to see a bit about how life in Bangkok runs around, what do people do, then in fact you have a tour to the floating market as well. So you can take a tour out early morning, and early morning is the best time. That's when the produce. So if you want to see how food is being sold and bargained and all of that happening, then a good food market to visit is the floating market. And I did forget that one of the most favorite places for a really a very easy on the pocket kind of a mall is of course the MBK market. Like everybody would definitely go there and have a list of things to pick up, list of electronics and all kinds of different things. So yeah, you can just go on shopping in Bangkok wherever you are, and all the way back to the airport. You keep shopping anywhere and everywhere.
I think I learned bargaining at MBK and Chachu Chart, because I think Chachu Chart has, I think, 15,000 stores,
Yes.
is what I was reading about. MBK is similar. So Bangkok's this Bangkok has this demographic population that loves its electronics. They don't cook at home. They are always going out. So hawkers become a huge thing in Bangkok, and wherever you go, you see hawkers all the time. You mentioned the floating market. So there is the Taling Chan floating market, which is one of the famous ones. And yes, being a very touristy city, you can do many tours over there. In addition to that, if you want to get electronics, MBK becomes a good one. But
Yeah.
guys, if you're listening to this, remember that MBK is a a market where you won't find official Apple stores, official Samsung stores, official Dell stores. So if someone is telling you that this is an official iPhone that which sells in the world for $700, and I'm selling it to you for something equivalent to $100, $200, remember that that is not an iPhone. I have had many of my travelers come to me and say that, Neil, I just bought the Galaxy Note, which in India retails for 45,000 rupees. I just got it for 7,000 rupees. Now, for a first time traveler, it becomes difficult to distinguish between what is a replica phone and what is an original phone. And here, of course, we'll cover this on our 5-minute travel tips podcast, how you should be careful of certain things in Bangkok when you're traveling. But remember that a lot of these are replica phones. They'll work amazingly well, but you won't get the 45,000 rupee Galaxy Note that you are desiring. And I've seen many people do that. I quite agree with you. Terminal 21, if you go on weekends, because Thailand is a culture where they work Monday to Friday. Weekends, they are always at the mall. And one of the reasons they are always at the mall is it is one of the hottest regions. And it's humid, it's hot. And in the mall, you get air conditioning. So that's why they get that. But you mentioned cafes also, Sunila. And I'd like to remind you that Red Bull originated there, right?
Yes.
It is the home of
Red
Red
Neil,
Bull.
there's a very interesting story how it originated. I think you should share that definitely.
Yeah. So how it was that Red Bull was made by a guy called Charlie Wood Vidya or U Vidya in 1976. And this was a guy who created this drink, and he moved from central Thailand to Bangkok with a little bit of formal education, didn't have a lot of money, etc., etc. Now there was this one day that this Australian business guy named Dietrich Mateschitz walks into like his store, and he's like, I'm really tired, I'm exhausted, it seems like I've got a heat stroke, etc., etc. And he's like, I need something refreshing. And when we want something refreshing, we go to coconut water. But this guy is like, I'm not going to give you coconut water, because let me remind you, in Thailand, the coconut water is also more refreshing than anywhere else in the world. So he gives him a drink, and he suddenly gets all of this energy after having that drink, and he really likes it.
Like a magic potion.
Exactly. And the rest is history, right? Because this guy goes back to him and is like, what did you give me? And he's like, okay, I've made this drink. And then they decide to set up Red Bull, which is no longer just an energy drink company. You see them as a Formula One team. You should see them doing stunts everywhere. The tagline, Red Bull gives you wings, is something that you see Red Bull showing us everywhere in the world, right? So they managed to create this multi-billion-dollar business empire, this Thai guy and this Australian guy. And
Neil, in fact, the Red Bull headquarters is in Austria in Salzkammergut area. So Fuschel am See, and around that area they have 3 offices. So we spoke about Austria last week, and that is exactly where Red Bull has the global headquarters. So yeah,
wow,
we are
good connection,
connecting.
huh?
Yeah.
So, but the actual drink, well, that this Dietrich Mateschitz had is not the Red Bull that we have today. It is very different. So that drink was more syrupy. It was quite different to the carbonated version that we are having today. But at some shops in Bangkok, you can find both of these versions. Now,
Yes.
I have also never tried the original one. But if you get a chance to go to a shop in Bangkok and try the original one, you could try both of them, and you could then decide which one you like. So
It's similar to that in Bangkok, in the small supermarkets, like you mentioned, and these are in glass bottles. So they're almost like having a shot of vitamin B complex or something. It tastes very similar to vitamin B complex. If you had a
is
vitamin
that
B
the
complex
pink
syrup.
bottles?
Yes, the
Yakult.
small. No, 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 no. These are like glass bottles. They look like maybe something like the Tabasco bottles, or the hot pepper sauces that we're used to. Small bottles, but they're filled with this syrup, and you get it at all these supermarkets, and they call it the energy drinks. And I think there are, of course, many others now. Not just the original. But yeah, it's quite interesting, and exactly the way you mentioned, the syrupy taste and the syrupy feel to it. So it's nice to have that in hot Bangkok after a full day of traveling. have a shot, and you're on your feet again.
All right. So this was the first time we started the episode with shopping. Okay.
Hmm.
And now we have, like, people go to Bangkok to shop, and that's a given. But if we get some time apart from shopping, let's talk about sightseeing places, things that we should see, because
Yes.
when you visit a place, you really want to do that. And Bangkok has this culture, has this, is a city where there's culture, there's history, there's modern life, and a lot of these other things. So if I want to go see things, what are some of the things that come to your mind?
I think, of course, as we know about Bangkok, Neil, it is known for Buddhism, and it is known for the king and the royalty. And everywhere that you see a lot of respect towards the king, and the people in Bangkok really pay their respects. And you are also expected to talk respectfully about the royal family and everything. So I think I would start with the Grand Palace. It's the beautiful Grand Palace that you can see out there in Bangkok. And then there are all the Buddha temples. So you have the reclining Buddha, you have the golden Buddha. So really the most important things to do are to visit the Buddhist temples and the Grand Palace. And of course there are more. We'll come to that soon,
Sunila,
today.
so you mentioned the Grand Palace and the temples that Bangkok has, right? So when I was researching different things about Bangkok, and this was like a long time ago when I was going as a tour manager. As a tour manager, before we go on a tour, we are researching about the place, getting
Mm.
information from all of the other 200 tour managers that Veena World has. And we came across this mind-blowing fact. So Thailand's currency is Thai baht, right? And Thai
Right.
baht has notes and coins like every other currency. So in the Thai baht, there is a coin for 1 Thai baht, 2 Thai baht, 5 Thai baht, and 10 Thai baht. Now, if you want to go on a day trip exploring the temples of Bangkok, all you need to reach out to is these 4 coins in your pocket.
Mm.
So these 4 coins have 4 temples behind them. 1 Thai baht coin has the temple, which is the Wat Phra Kyo, which is the temple of the Emerald Buddha inside of the Grand Palace.
Mm.
The 2 Thai baht coin has the Wat Saket, which is the temple on the mount. The 5 Thai baht coin, which has the Wat Benjama, I always pronounce this thing wrong, but it's Wat Benja Mabo Fit, the marble temple. And then the 10 Thai baht coin has the Wat Arun, which is the temple of dawn. Now, all of these 4 temples are in Bangkok. All can be seen in one day. And I just felt that that's a pretty cool way of showcasing
Yes.
your country's history through your currency, and that felt quite good. So if you just reach the Thai baht coins, because, and remember, if you're leaving Bangkok from Suvarnabhumi Airport or Don Muang Airport, remember to buy something with these coins. Otherwise, you'll just be left with them. And I've been left with hundreds and hundreds of coins, not knowing what to do with it, because the Thai currency is such that you'll be paying a lot in the 20, 50, and 100 Thai baht notes. So that is something good. Now, in addition to the temple, Sunita, there's also the Chao Phraya River. And Bangkok was a town that was built on the Chao Phraya River. So, and you know how, if you go to any rooftop bar, let's come to rooftop bars after this, but if you go to any rooftop bar, you will see how the river just meanders through the
Yes.
city, and it goes in a southerly direction, right? And eventually emptying into the Gulf of Thailand. But another good thing, and we've done this in the past, is taking a dinner cruise, right? Because Bangkok is the city of skyscrapers. And I think it is said that it is the eighth tallest city in the world, with 581 skyscrapers over 90 meters tall. So Bangkok is this confluence of super tall buildings. It doesn't have a business district. It does not have like one district, right? It's like spread out into 50 different districts. So the Chao Phraya dinner cruise or the Chao Phraya evening cruise that you like many tourists go on gives you a good sense of just chilling on a boat, like just going through a river, and then it gives you a good perspective of the city, don't you think?
Yeah, Neil, because all of Bangkok was actually, like you said, built along the river, and Grand Palace, all the major attractions are along the river. And like we've said many times in our other podcasts, it's great fun to see the city float by. Also, I feel it's amazing to kind of see it in the day and see it in the night, because the everything that you've spent hours walking in the morning and going and visiting, and in the evening, if you can just sit back, relax, and watch it come alive with the illumination and float by, it's really a beautiful way to see the city again. So like you have the Singapore river cruise, which is a nice way to see Singapore, and I always recommend that try and do it at twilight or late at night. Of course, it's good to do it in the day too, but if you do it in the evening or in the night, then it's a little colder. And especially in cities like Singapore and Bangkok, it's nice to do it in the evening when things are a little cooler and everything's lit up, and it's really quite beautiful. It's quite romantic, in fact, and a lot of proposals and other things happen, or celebrations. It's a great way to celebrate your birthday, celebrate your anniversary, go out on a Chao Phraya river cruise. And if you like Thai food, these often come with dinner, right? So you can go in and have a nice dinner as well. They have some live music. So and with the kind of Indian tourists that would go, the singers would often learn one or two Hindi songs as well, and they would really entertain people. So even for like private family groups or corporates, this becomes a great way to wind down and really celebrate in the evening. So I think it's a great way to see the city.
And like you rightly said, right, the city was built on the river. It became like it prospered because it was on this river. It became a good port for trade. And the course of the river has been modified a number of times. So if you are to go and see the original course of the river on a map and how the course of the river is now, there were many shortcut canals that were built. And the city's like waterway network served as the primary means of transport until about the 19th century, after which modern roads started being built. But because the river becomes this focal point of Bangkok, there is also a name given to Bangkok, where in the 19th and 20th century, it was called the Venice of the East. So a good way to, of course, move around Bangkok is by taxi. And the taxi, always, guys, remember, go by the meter. If someone says, I don't want to go by the meter, just say, okay, I don't want to come with you, take the next one. So take the taxi. You can take a tuk-tuk, which is like an auto rickshaw, or if you want to go from one place to the other, you can also take these canal boats, which are very cheap and they are pretty good. The canals have been polluted over time, but like Sunila mentioned at the start of the episode, if you go to a floating market, you can certainly experience one of these boat rides that in the Venice of the East, as it is called. Now,
Wait,
Sunila,
just one more
yeah,
point. There are two other ways to get around the city, and one is, of course, the metro line, the BTS,
yes.
which is very fast, and you can get from one point to the other, because sometimes it does take a very long time for the traffic to even move an inch. And the other way, which we've seen, is people on motorbikes, bike scooters. They come in and they sometimes do carry a helmet with them as well, and you can actually hop on behind somebody and go on a scooter as a taxi as well. So that's another way to get around Bangkok.
Yeah, and I often try to just take the taxi because the taxi is
Yes.
the easiest way. But the
And air
MRT is
condition.
also,
Hmm.
yeah, sorry.
And air conditioning,
Yes. Oh,
right?
yes,
So
definitely. That is needed. Srila, of course, we spent 20 minutes talking about a lot of these things, but we cannot have an episode on Bangkok or Thailand and not talk about the food. So I'm not going to talk about like what are the dishes you've had, top 5 dishes and all of that. But if I'm going to Thailand and it's my first time or it's my 10th time or 100th time, what are some of the dishes that I should definitely try out?
I think it's definitely a food lover's paradise, especially if you like seafood and you like non-vegetarian food. So I think the top few dishes to try out, which you must. I will start with something that is actually, well, almost vegetarian. Do you can of course ask for a vegetarian option, is the spicy papaya salad. I think som tam is something that all of us enjoy, all of us love, and the tangy flavor of the lime and the peanuts crushed into it. So Thai food has a lot of peanuts and coconut mixed into a lot of different ways, and I would definitely start with som tam. The other thing that I would say is pad thai, and pad thai is slightly sweeter and spicy at the same time, and you
If you
get it.
want if you want something spicy, you should get the drunken noodles or the pad see ew then. Pad
Yes,
Thai
but
doesn't give, yeah. Pad
We
Thai
were
isn't
speaking
that
of
spicy.
first time,
Yeah.
but yeah, so definitely that is something that you would add, and there is no end to how much you can add. Also, the Thai green curry, which of course I think we have a lot in India as well, but Indians do like to have their little rice. And I think when you go to the Asian countries, you're never short of, sometimes in Europe, you get tired of eating bread all the time because that's not really our food, right? But rice is something that we get, and jasmine rice that you get in Thailand is so flavorful. It's so amazing, and it makes an amazing combination with Thai green curry. Um, Usually I think this is a Thai green chicken curry like gang keo one guy, but there are now with vegetarian options coming everywhere. People have really tried to do that. Yes, there is a red curry variant, there is a yellow curry variant as well. And I think to kind of top it all off, and yes, basil chicken, I mean that has become like it's something probably we have more in India than anything else. But definitely to have a drink with that, you must have chai, and at least once or once every day or twice every day, which is the Thai tea. It's kind of sweet condensed milk mixed with the different Thai tea that you get. And in fact, whenever we go, we always bring back boxes and tins of Thai tea to have back at home, right? And it's a nice creamy texture, and it's with lots of ice in it. So it's really a nice cooling drink. You get it everywhere. And we didn't mention the sticky rice and mango. So I think I would put these drinks really that you must have. And then, of course, if you want to extend and experiment from insects to everything, you get everything on the streets of
Yeah,
Thailand,
I
right?
was just going to say
So,
that you're missing the most important part, the
yes.
scorpions and the bugs and the grasshoppers that you can see on Khao San Road. So speaking of nightlife, of course, there's the Patpong Market and Khao San Road, where Khao San is known as the backpacker paradise, and
Mm.
it's just open all night, all day, I would say. But coming back to the food, I'd like to add a few more items to that. Like you said, seafood is a massive thing. So the crab in yellow curry
Yes.
is one thing that is on my list. There is also the planong manao, which is the steamed fish in chili lime sauce. So that is the second thing. You will also find the deep fried grouper in basil chili. That is something that you should definitely try. In terms of which restaurant should we go to, you know how they say that in terms of the Michelin star restaurants in the world, Paris has many, Tokyo has maybe the most Michelin star restaurants. But if you see, there's along with Michelin, there is the top 50 or world's 50 best, right? And I think 10 to 12 or 15 of the world's 50 best restaurants or world's 100 best restaurants are in Bangkok or Asia's
Mm.
best. I don't know. But if you want to have a high end meal, do visit many of these restaurants. In addition to all of this, Sunila, there are still a few more dishes that I would like. You can just keep going, right?
Yes.
But there is the prawns in garlic and pepper
Yeah.
that I
Things are
often.
just, coming up in my mind, and I feel, oh, we didn't say the
What
soups,
did
tom
you
yum and tom kha.
exactly? Tom
We
yum and
have that
tom
all the
kha.
time. So both of those, morning glory, just morning glory as a vegetable to go on the side is so amazing. I mean, chicken satay, that is something that we have all the time. And then the
Peanutty
peanut.
flavors are
Yeah.
like, and often I operate with this principle that when you're having food, it has to be spicy, because if you don't have spicy food, you have not put in effort in eating food. So that's why Thailand becomes a good place to have that food. And I certainly feel that meat and seafood are an important part of the Thai culture, and you should definitely give it. And everything that you have, whether it's the fried rice and all of that, ask for a fried egg on the side, because that
Yes.
fried egg, and I will say it's not a fried egg, it's actually a deep fried egg, because if you see the amount of oil that goes into it, it's quite a lot. So these were some of the things that were on my plate, and of course, it they keep adding, and like I sometimes remove some things because I'm like, okay, I don't like this anymore. And I have also done a thing where we often like a restaurant called Tukladi on Sukhumvit Soy 5 at a place called Foodland in Bangkok. And we used to just order a regular crab fried rice and prawns in basil and chili and all of that. And I have packed a suitcase full of all of those meals and had those back in Bombay over here. So I have done that. I don't know how good the restaurant is now, but there are many
And
restaurants.
it
And
used to be open till late in the night,
oh, it
right?
was
So even then,
24/7, right? They had
yeah,
this
it
thing
was
which said,
24/7. That's
yeah.
right. So you would never go hungry in Bangkok.
Yeah, but
That's
although
something.
my mom did visit it a
recently.
a month ago or
Yeah.
something, and she was like, doesn't seem this same. But I
I
guess,
think maybe they're getting back to their, we should
yeah.
give them some more time. Let's go there after a few months and check out if they're still back to their game.
Okay, so now we are not left with a lot of time. Rooftops.
Yes, something that I think, after your meal or even before your meal, if you want to have a great evening in Bangkok, you can have so many ways to do it. We mentioned the Chao Phraya River cruise, that's one way. The other one really is to, and like you mentioned, Neil, it is a city of skyscrapers, it's one of the tallest cities. So, what better way than to get onto a hotel's rooftop and enjoy the view from there? And I think definitely I'll suggest a few. There are many, 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 and they are growing day by day, but the one place that if you have to go to, the two three places, is definitely Banyan Tree in Bangkok has vertigo. I mean, the name itself should tell you the height and the view that you get. So it's about 61 floors above the street, and it's really beautiful. So amazing cocktails, champagnes, and the bar area, and some really good seafood as well. So vertigo on for Banyan Tree is something that you should visit. The next one might be quite familiar for a lot of people because this is at Lebua Hotel at the State Tower, and this is Sirocco and the Sky Bar. So Sirocco and Sky Bar, Neil, was a part of the Hangover movie as well, and we've seen them when they shoot in Bangkok. Some of it was done at the State Tower. It's 63 stories high, and it has this beautiful illuminated sky bar out there. Amazing place to go and have an evening. So definitely go ahead and do that. The Marriott Hotel also has a really nice sky bar rooftop called the Octave Rooftop Bar. So that should be on your list. And so does the Sofitel. I mean, Sofitel So on Sathon has a high So rooftop. So, a lot of these they're all open air. They feel really good. The Millennium Hilton Bangkok has an amazing rooftop bar as well. So I can go on and on. There is something called Above 11 in Sukhumvit, which is also really good. So, Neil, there is an endless list, and I'm sure there'll be more being added to it. So, you could spend each day, or you can have like a bar hopping, rooftop bar hopping tour, create
I've
your
done
own
that. I've done
thing
that
and do
many
that.
times
So,
because it
I
just
think
goes
it's a
on.
great way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the city doesn't shut, right? Like in Mumbai or Pune,
Yeah.
you see that, okay, we'll shut at 12, 1, maybe 2. But here, Bangkok just keeps going. So you can have food, you can
Yeah.
then go to bars, then you can have food again, then you can again
Correct.
go to bars. So that was food, that was drinks, that was um, the rooftop bars. And Bangkok also has many speakeasies, so you can certainly check those out. Many sports bars,
Mhm.
because heavy into sport, like a very multicultural city, right? Because of the tourism and everything. So those are a few things. I would also like to mention, Sunila, that Bangkok has the largest Chinatown in the world, which is called the Yaowarat. And at Yaowarat, there is a temple called the Wat Primate, which we see at like in many of the Veena World Tour programs, which has the largest golden Buddha in the world. And the statue is officially called the Praputta Mahasuvana Patipakon and weighs
Mhm.
about like 5.5 tons. So, like Bangkok, you'll see that the Buddha is, of course, Buddhism is one of the big cultures, right? So Chinatown is also a place that you can go to shop during Chinese New Year, which is the months of January and February. You can have like a very celebratory atmosphere in Chinatown. And also in September and October, they have a festival called the Vegetarian Festival. So that
Wow.
can also be some time that you can go. And speaking of festivals, Songkran, which is from the 13th to
Yes.
the 15th of April, is basically Thai Holi. And
They celebrated it this year. They had a really good
yeah,
Songkran. Like, I'm glad things are coming back to normal.
it's like if you are there during Songkran, just ensure that you're in a covered taxi or something all the time, because like the Holi in Varanasi tames in front of Songkran, because everyone lines up the streets
Mm.
and there's water fights all across the city. And in addition to that, we have Mother's Day coming up soon, right? But Father's and Mother's Day in Thailand are the king and queen's respective birthdays. That is the 5th of December and the 12th of August. And Thailand also has the the Sanam Luang, which is the Thai Kite Festival. So if you want to go check out some festivals, get into the culture and history and all of that, my suggestion would be checking these out. Anything we've missed out, Sunila? We've covered a fair bit, but we could go on because we have
We
not
can
even
always
covered.
keep going on. But one last point I want to make before we say bye today is Thai massage. you're walking all day, you're shopping all day, you're eating, you're sightseeing and doing everything. And at the end of the day, when you're really tired, you feel so happy to see the signs that say foot massage. And that is, I think, the most amazing thing to do. There is also the variation where you can do a whole body Thai massage, which is often dry massage. So it is more about stretching and a combination, a little bit of yoga or things that they put in, but more of stretching. And it's really therapeutic. So it is really good for you as well. And wellness therapies in Thailand can go on and on. You can actually go in and check into wellness hotels as well and do like a whole thing. But I think I enjoy, and for me, that's how the day in Bangkok ends, is after eating food, shopping, walking, sightseeing at the end of the day. And they are open till quite late as well. You go and relax, and they use this kind of a balm that they use, which is really nice, and a mix of that and the foot massage, and it is heaven. So I think
Yeah.
definitely
I'd just like to
add the
say
foot
that when you
massage.
speak of the massage, go into massage parlors that have like a transparent front and you can see what's
Yes,
happening
yes,
over there. Because Bangkok is known for its red light
yes,
districts
yes.
also, and it's also known for scams. You don't want to walk into a place where you don't know like what you're getting. The right foot massage, you'll often see people like, if you see tourists at a massage parlor, go there, because like
I mean, they have
that's
many, like chairs, so you can actually do it with your family. So those are the
exactly.
best ones to go to, where you can sit together and sleep, go off to sleep, because they're really good with what they do. So yeah,
Yeah.
go to a nice
Anything
one.
else you have? I want to finish off with one point.
I think, Neil, we can go on and on, but we can do it some other day. Let things open, and maybe we can do an extended one on the rest of the places in Thailand as well. But yeah,
Awesome. So, okay, then if that is the case, I'd like to end it with a word of caution, because many tourists who go to Thailand also get scammed. And you can get scammed in multiple ways, right? You can get scammed by uh, the taxi driver asking you for a certain amount of money. Currency scams where, you walk into a small buy lane, the currency rate is very good, I'm going to
yeah.
exchange over here. That is something that you should be careful of. Like I said, electronics, if they work, then it's not necessary that once you walk out of the shop and you're on the flight, the electronic
You be
has to work.
careful, and you know how
Yeah.
much you pay for. I mean, that is the best indication.
Yeah.
Yes, whether it's authentic.
So you just have to ensure that you have, there are three things that you require, right? Your money, your wallet with your credit cards, and your passport. All three have to be in the front pockets. Nothing should be in the back pocket, because pickpockets are a big thing in Bangkok. And finally, I would say that when you're coming back, there are certain noodles that you'll find in Thailand. There are certain things that you will not find in India, like the Shinramyun, which you find all across Southeast Asia. There are many Thai spicy noodles, which are the 2-minute noodles that you can get. Like, walk into a supermarket, get all of those things, because you don't get them over here. And they are very cheap in Thailand, in Bangkok. And I have brought them back a number of times. Of course, I love noodles, I love food and all of that. That's why I do that. But get the things that you have never seen in India, because Thailand has a whole bunch of those, and Bangkok has a whole bunch of those. But yeah, so let's end it then.
Yeah.
Like, let's end it on this. So we started with Savadi Ka, Savadi Krap. Now we're going to say thank you in Thai. That is Kap Kun Kap.
Kapun
Kap
kap.
Kun Kap, Sunila. Kap Kun
Kapun
Kap,
kap.
viewers and listeners, for tuning in to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Live. This is Bangkok. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.